Alone in a dark corridor, you hear sounds from the north. You search for the closest route to your mission. A mutated human jumps out and scares you, frightens you. You cannot believe it. You use bullet time in order to use an extra action. You fend off the creature and finally make it to the pharmacy. But more sounds from the south tell you it's still pretty dangerous. Alone by Horrible Games is a 1 versus all board game for 2 to 4 players. One player will play as the hero and make their way through missions and complete objectives, while everyone else is the evil player creating the dungeon and the map that's tormenting this hero, whether it be spawning creatures or playing down dangerous areas or just trying to react to every action a hero makes. This game plays in about 90 minutes and is very great for a team of players looking for something very tactical and heavy. If you're looking for something really immersive, let's check this out. So I already did make a how to play game. So what I'm going to do instead is kind of just go over a couple things that I really enjoyed about this. Couple hero things and a couple evil things. So with the hero, right, you're going to have the icon that you're using for the mission, and you're going to place it in the room that it's located. Now what's really cool about this is, let's say you go into this room and you already have done a scavenge. You can't re-scavenge a room you've scavenged, so you could use a charge in order to tell yourself, like, I've used this room already. And then if you look over here at the mini map, right, this isn't the map that you see as an evil player, but this is kind of a map to keep track for you, because it can represent the map that you're building. So every time you go to like a new room, you could definitely place down these charges to kind of remind yourself of where you're going, right? Then of course you have the upgrade system. That's really cool. Every time you kill a character or a creature, you can put these down, and if you kill them twice, you can get the upgrade. I think that's really cool. I think the use of these charges is really interesting. I think a lot of the things that they added to this game really do help create that immersion if you're trying to play like a sci-fi video game or such, because of the way that this looks like a full-on inventory, And even with the enemies, you look at their map, and I would even argue it's relatively similar, just with the asymmetrical part of things, is you are building this map. If this room, if the hero is here and he moves here, you put down the walls on the actual board as it corresponds with this, right? Which is neat, because now he knows that there is going to be a room next to here. Then you have the light switch. This is here. So if he was in this room, he'd put down the light switch, and he'd know that this room has light in it, and he can interact with it to turn it on, right? So there's so much to this game that I think is really neat. And while the game is pretty much something that you can build on your own, there's also a scenario book that you can follow that teaches you certain setups and lets you play through certain games if you'd like to do that instead, which is really fun. You also have the sheet that separates the labyrinth to the hero, and it literally is, your walkthrough. It tells you everything you need to know, from reference to reactions and actions to how the enemies play, which is pretty neat. Once again, if you are looking for a full walkthrough of the game, I'll link below my how to play, and then you can always check over there. Let's get back to the review. I love the gameplay in general. I'll admit, I have played far too little amount of campaign-heavy games to even be able to compare this to anything else, but I really like this. I mean, most of the time I'm kind of dissuaded from something that's tactical because I just don't think I can learn it that well. I like lighter games and I like Euro games, but this one was really cool, especially the theme. I think that's what got me, was the theme, the sci-fi theme, Things are actually terrifying when you're running through these corridors and a mutant pops out of nowhere and you lose your sanity and your self-control, and now you have to stay alive and try to kill this thing before it kills you. The hero board recreates the inventory of a video game. You actually see everything demonstrated right in front of you on a board. The hollow memory is used for movement, just to keep track of where you were when things disappear. The upgradable inventory, the fluid gameplay of action and reaction that helps maintain the steady pace of the game. It creates a very great sci-fi immersion that actually almost blends the walls between video games and board games, minus the video portion of all of that. Or, if that's not something you want to take on, or maybe somebody else took that role already, why not play as the evil player? Build the map that's going to scare this hero. Be the person spawning the creatures and making the hero's journey impossible to complete his missions. Each hero action comes with a reaction, an opportunity for the evil player to make it harder for this hero who's trying to run through this dungeon that you are creating, you and friends. With every reaction from a hero's action, you and your friends actually all can work together to make things happen. There's not much of a lull between the evil players and the hero because it's built like a video game, always having constant things going on. Honestly, in my opinion, that programming was really impressive. Most of the time we consider a video game as a developer. A creature has a line of sight programmed for how far it can see you at a certain point. Events trigger because of certain things that you interact with. Fighting is still turn-based, but you have the functionality of cooldown times and such. You can actually see all of that in Alone. And of course, the creatures help with that immersion. The minis, the figures that come with it, and all the multiple suits that come for the heroes that give you like different strategies of gameplay, different ways to take on the map, the labyrinth that's being built in front of you. And even if those heroes aren't being used, they can always come back as companions within the game as you're playing through these campaigns. Honestly, one of the biggest downsides I do see is when you are playing with more than one evil player, that's where the lull can kind of show up, because you have 2 or 3 people all trying to work together on one map. You have one person leading the round most of the time, so they are making the executive decision. And then you have people who have more experience than others kind of quarterbacking the entire system. So you could sit there and you could be the person building the map, or you can give some like insight on something, but most of the time what I felt was somebody was running the game and the other person was being the hero. And then when you did change the round, there was more of an influence towards the leader of that round, which kind of makes it a lull for the other 2 players. And I just think that might be hard to tackle, right? It's hard to tackle a one versus all, because how do you get everybody to interact with each other? That's probably the biggest downside I saw in the game. Everything else is pretty flawless as far as tactical games go, and I've never played a tactical game, so I have nothing to compare it to, but it got me interested in somebody who's never played it, and I liked it, and I would play it again, if that says anything. So my final thoughts is, if you're looking for something that really interprets the sci-fi video game horror experience into a board game, something analog, something that you can teach to your friends and have a really great game night with, I highly recommend this, because it is scary. There's definitely tension. The boards that come with it are really helpful. The evil players do have like an entire reference sheet to show you what actions and what symbols compare to reactions, and then every move you make always have some type of consequence, even if you're just moving, because the reactions from the evil players have specific cards targeted towards your action. And if they can't find a good card for that, they can always spawn a creature or move a creature with standard actions. So there's always something going on. And I think that's the greatest thing about this game, is the fact that it's constantly moving and it doesn't feel like there's a downtime, because even if someone's sitting and thinking about their next move, well, if you're not thinking about your next move is the other side of the table, you're making a mistake. So I don't know. How does this sound to you? You got 90 minutes of great gameplay here. Is it something that you think you'd play? All right. I want to thank all of you for watching today, my review on Alone. If you can and would like to, subscribe, put on the notifications if that's your interest. I make videos every couple days. Try to, at least. Leave a like and a comment. Let's start a conversation. I'd love to have a chat. Tell me what you think about this. If you have any other tactical games that you think I might like based off this, if you have any anything you want to recommend to me, I'd totally be down to check it out and give you my feedback on it. That's all I got to say. Thank you.